Welcome, everybody, to the Table Rush Talk Show. Today, we're joined by Danny Maloney, CEO and founder of Tailwind, an AI-driven marketing platform empowering over 1 million businesses. With a background at Google, YouTube, and AOL, Danny is a pioneer in content generation and marketing optimization. Tune into this episode for insights on leveraging AI for effective marketing strategies. Oh my gosh, welcome Danny Maloney to the show.
Thank you, Mischa. Appreciate it.
I'm so excited to have you here. And actually, I was just thinking, I really wish I had an applause track right now, like a producer in the background that just hit
Yeah.
Danny. Um, I'm going to say AI actually gave me this title for this episode, Revolutionizing Marketing with AI, meet Danny Maloney. So I
Oh, wow.
personally love AI, and you're all in on AI, and we've got your app. Anybody listening right now can go to tailwindapp.com and see what you're up to as well. So Tailwind, I think I've got that right, don't I? Yes, tailwindapp.com, and then you'll get to see what we're talking about. Um, but first off, in 30 seconds or less, tell me what Tailwind does.
Absolutely. So Tailwind helps small businesses have the marketing team they wish they had at a price that they can afford. What we find is a lot of small business owners just frankly run out of time for marketing, and it becomes that extra thing that they have to do on top of all the other things they have to do. So we're using AI to help them build out a marketing plan, to then create the content they need for that marketing plan, to get the content where it needs to go, to allocate ad budgets for them over the course of the month, and all of those things that normally would take a lot of time.
Amazing. Do you have any quick, like super quick testimonials or success stories that can paint a vision for somebody about that, right? Because it sounds super cool, but let's just get to brass tacks, man. Like, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's different sides of it. If we talk about, for example, the paid advertising side, a lot of people are focused on ROI and ROAS on their ad spend. And there, I mean, we've literally seen people go from 2x ROAS to 8 or 9x ROAS once they adopt the solution. And the reason that that happens is twofold. One is we'll actually create ads for them based on a profile of the business that's built out for them, also leveraging AI, but similar to what an agency would develop. And that gives them a lot more creative choices to go with in their ad campaigns. But the other component is the AI-driven optimization of ad spend, where someone can tell us, okay, this is my budget for the month, this is my objective, spend it in whatever way helps me get my objective. And they don't have to go in and make all the micro decisions of, I'm going to put this many dollars on this ad unit and this many on this one and this many on this campaign and this many on that platform. It makes all of those mathematical decisions for them, and it updates them 24/7 so they don't have to babysit it, right? So that's kind of that's one example where we've seen that type of just ROI uplift. The other type of testimonial we hear a lot is much more about impact on people's lives. And so when you think about things like us generating social content for people, or helping them generate emails faster and email subject lines, there's a lot of, oh, wow, you've cleared my psychological burden of having to make all these decisions and think about these things. That frees up time for me to be present with my family or my loved ones, or to spend more time on my hobbies. So we hear those types of personal stories a lot. And then there's another element of it, which is just empowering people. So I think of one of our users, I saw a recording of from a user experience research call where they were actually in tears. And it was because they're not a native English speaker. And our content generation, our Ghostwriter product in particular, was helping them write better copy in English far faster than they could on their own. And that was vital to their livelihood, right? And so you hear different angles of the testimonial. It's not really just one thing, but I think that's part of the small business experience. Is small businesses are so intimately a part of the owners and the teammates' lives who build them and who run them, that it can have very, very personal impacts on people beyond just the financial impact.
Mm. I'm just making a note right now as we're talking. I don't want there to be silence in the background, but you have a million users. So we're going to get to this question in a minute, but different breakdown of the size of users, right? Or the business of like the business size of your users, right? From solopreneurs on up to who knows who you've got out there. Cisco Systems maybe is using your business. But I love that empowering people. What a great boy, what a great story. I love that. Was not expecting that. You're not your native speaking English person who was able to just now start having an impact uh in
Yeah.
in America, right? Or to the audience they want to get to. It's still early. I'm sorry if I'm
And
babbling
no,
a
it's all
little.
good. To me, that's one of the amazing things about technology is its ability to democratize access to opportunity and access to information. We heard similar stories when I worked at YouTube in the past of, children in parts of the world where they wouldn't have access to education, for example, finding access to educational materials through YouTube and it literally changing the course of their life, right?
Mm.
And so it feels to me like, at each stage of major technological advancement, we just keep opening up accessibility globally. And that's a really powerful thing for humankind. Um, of course, there are also challenges that come with that. And we've been living through a lot of those challenges. And in AI, there are going to be a lot of things we're going to have to watch really closely. But there's no doubt in my mind that technology has ultimately been empowering for humans, and this next wave with AI is only going to be even more so.
Yeah. I think it's so cool. I help a lot of solopreneurs with VAs, solopreneurs, small businesses.
Yep.
So just walk us through something super quick on maybe not the paid ads section, but you talked about the paid ad testimonial or the dramatic increase in ROAS, but maybe let's level it down to the person solopreneur who's super busy and they stumble across Tailwind. And again, everybody, you can go to tailwindapp.com and follow along and see what we're talking about. But like break it down for me quickly, like before, now.
Yeah. Yeah. So we'll take an example of what we do now when a new user signs up, and especially, let's say, someone that's running like an e-commerce store or something like that, right?
Yep.
So when they come to Tailwind, they'll go through a short, typical sign up process to create their account, right? They're entering their name, their email address, choosing a password, and they give us their website URL. What they don't necessarily know is then happening is as soon as they give us their website URL, we're going and reading the content of their site. We're looking at the products they offer, the services they offer. We're looking for other relevant information about their business. And in a matter of really seconds, not what would take weeks or months typically in the world, we're building out a profile of that business, right? What do we believe are their unique selling propositions? What do we believe are the unique value propositions of individual products? What appears to be their voice that they write in, so that when we create content for them, we can replicate that voice, right? So all of these different factors that ultimately inform what we help them create, and then things like how their ad campaigns are managed. But we've gotten it to the point now where when people log in, they sign up, they create their account. For certain types of businesses that have enough information, like e-commerce stores, when they actually land on the dashboard for the first time in Tailwind, we've already drafted social content for them. So we have drafts there of here are Instagram posts, Facebook posts, Pinterest pins, right? And these are ready and waiting for you to just review, edit if you want to edit them. And then if you want to go ahead and publish them, we'll recommend when to schedule them, when to actually publish them, and you can do all that right in that place. So you're taking a process that would take people, especially if they started from that like agency style value proposition brainstorming and so forth, it could take them weeks to think through that high level strategic component, and then hours to actually generate the content for the posts. And that would happen over the course of days, typically, right? They're doing all that in 2 minutes, right? So it's 2 minutes from sign up to I've got posts ready to use. I've scheduled them. They're going to publish when I need them to publish. And that's the type of transformation we're talking about here, right? Things that literally would keep falling off your to-do list every day for weeks on end up just being done, right? And so, now with the next steps here, what we're asking ourselves is how do we make this even easier for people? And so in the new year, we're going to be moving towards things like, okay, you're the solopreneur, let's say, out there running your business. You're going to get maybe a text message or a mobile notification from us that says, hey, we've drafted 5 new posts for you. Come check them out when you have time. You look at them on your phone, you say, like this one, don't like this one, like this one, don't like this one. And from there, we can go ahead and schedule and publish them, right? So it really is like having a marketing team working for you. That's the direction of the vision of what we're building. And I think we're getting to the point now where the technology is good enough and accurate enough that it's becoming reality, right?
That's amazing. And I love that. Just my brain just went, oh my God, if like you're prompting the business owner now, hey, your content's ready. Are you ready to send it? Versus me needing to prompt the system to create the content for me or whatever. Now it's proactive. Amazing. Wow. So that's coming or that's in play a little bit or
That second proactive piece, we're working on it in real time. It'll be something we begin rolling out in the early part of the new year.
um,
So it's pretty close at this point, but the content generation for you, proactively is already happening in the product today.
awesome.
Um, that's already reality. The question of this next piece is how do we integrate it in people's lives and bring it to them where they are when they need it so that they don't even have to think to come back to the tool, and they don't have to remember to make time to create the content and to market their business. Because depending on your type of business, like a lot of people, you think of, I don't know, fitness studios, salons, folks like that, they're hopefully spending their day with clients, right? Like they want to be engaged with customers where they can't be at a computer making all this content or constantly on their phone, creating content and doing their marketing while they're supposed to be supporting someone. Um, and so they really need that proactive nature of software to evolve. Whereas in the past, software has been very passive and it kind of waits for you. The evolution of AI is bringing this reality where software can now become proactive and act like a human team member would, or
Mm.
you would expect them to, right? Like I mean, we do have a wonderful marketing team at Tailwind. I don't expect our marketing team to sit back and wait for me to tell them what to do, and they don't, right? Like they generate their own plans, they figure out what the campaigns should be, they create the content, and when they need my input or feedback, they come to me, right? And so I want to bring that same amazing feeling and capability to all of our small business customers.
That's amazing. That is awesome. And I love the vision. And boy, I'm just all these questions and this awesomeness is coming as you're coming to me as you're talking about all the things you do. I have a buddy, his name is Tom Kabash. Tom, if you listen to this, you have to listen to this episode actually. So Tom has a business called Sant Eyewear, and you might be able to go to santeyewear.com right now and check it out, right? And he does 3D printed sunglasses, and they are amazing. He's been in eyewear design for 30 years. He's owned brands before, but he's making 3D printed sunglasses out of castor bean oil, and castor bean is basically a bush. And
Hmm.
so, but they are beautiful, right?
They really
These
are.
things are beautiful. It's santeyewear.com. Did it pop up?
Yeah, I'm looking at them in
SAUNT.
real time. They're really beautiful and they have such a unique look to them. I've
Yeah.
never seen anything quite like them.
Yeah, pretty awesome, right? And so he is growing his business, one man shop, solopreneur. Um, he's generating most of his business right now by, as a lot of e-com people do, by doing what do you call them, the like the farmers markets and
Mhm.
these
Like pop-up shop
farmers. What's
things.
that?
Yeah, farmers markets, trade shows, pop-up shops, those types of live events. Yeah.
Absolutely. We're on the West Coast, so he's in LA, San Francisco, going to the big like neighborhood market things. I don't know what you call them, but they're or you know what I mean? Like they happen annually or quarterly,
Yep.
but they're big events, and he's having a ton of success, right? And so he's learned what the people want, and now it's a matter of how do I translate oh, nice balloons. How do I translate this into an effective online strategy? And my brain right now is going, oh my gosh, if he was to run his thing through Tailwind, tailwindapp.com, like you would probably be able to do magic for him. Yes?
Yeah, and we work with a lot of brands just like his, where you mentioned up top, kind of the over 1 million users, and what does that really look like? The vast majority of our customers are between 1 and 25 employees.
Mm.
And the one is real, right? Like we have a lot of solopreneurs, a lot of entrepreneurs who are using the system, because frankly, that's where the need is, right? Larger companies do have very well developed, established marketing teams in most cases. And small businesses just aren't at a place in the development of their business where that can be reality for them. So that's who we focus on. We do have folks up to Fortune 500 companies who use the software, but we really focus on that small business. And so yeah, we see categories, sort of like where he is with the eyewear, and it looks like his price points are 180, $200, $150.
Yep.
So it's a solid price point. We see a lot of jewelry stores having success because of that. Apparel stores that are online having success because they have a significant enough price point and average order value where they can leverage advertising to make money for their business, right? They're not selling $5 trinkets, right? They're
Yeah, yeah.
they're selling more substantially priced product. Um, and typically they have good photography around the products that are useful in creating ads. And then the advertising systems, we can work with them to do a good job of helping over time hone the data around their audience and who their audience is in order to help them find the right type of customer. Um, One thing I will say to anyone who's listening, who is that small business owner, is you've got to think of your marketing as a long-term strategy. It can't just be all about, I'm doing something today, I expect it to pay off tomorrow, because that's not the reality of where marketing is these days. A lot of it comes down to data, which is something that I think a lot of small business owners don't necessarily realize or think about. But one of the biggest challenges, especially when you want to scale through paid advertising, is can I find the audience that my product is good for? And in order to discover the audience, you need enough activity out there, whether it's on social networks or on your website itself, that are cues that you get enough web traffic where Google can take cues from it, or through paid advertising. You need to drive enough audience that there are enough observations for these increasingly AI-driven systems to learn who is or isn't interested in your product, who is or isn't likely to buy it. And only then do you start to get into that mode of, okay, I can put money in and predictably get a certain amount of money out, right? But it takes time to build to that. It's not the type of thing that just happens overnight.
And so is that function of building to that a matter of just consistent work as well as consistent paid effort? So with like ads and things as well, or does that question make sense?
I'd say paid effort massively accelerates it, right? So a lot, we're all consumers first before we're ever entrepreneurs or business owners. And we love a deal, we love coupons, we love getting things for free. The reality is the type of organic traffic that was available to folks for free 5, 10 years ago is not available for free anymore. You might get
Mm.
some free organic activity, But if you're relying on that alone to build the data set for your business, it's going to be a long, slow slog, right? And that's where I think paid comes in, is you don't want to be overly aggressive out of the gate, but by investing in paid advertising with a reasonable budget that's affordable for you, you massively accelerate the number of people who are coming to your site. And that accelerates the data that these advertising systems are then getting on your business about who the right customer is. And then over time, you'll see the efficiency build in your campaigns, but they need enough observations to learn, right?
Yeah.
Otherwise, at the beginning, the reality is they're kind of guessing, right?
Yeah. 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 What was I going to say? I had a thought to that. Oh, so as far as organic content creation, it's almost like the organic content creation now is just a function to be able to spin that up into paid ads, right? Trying to get good quality organic content, then you can, right, spin it up into an ad or something like that. Yes.
That it's also there for branding purposes in a lot of cases. So you want to have an active presence in order for people who are researching your business to be able to learn what you're about and get a sense of, who you are, what your brand is, and then that can inform their buying decision.
Yeah.
So I do think there are roles for organic and organic content. It's just, when we started as a company, which, we're over 10 years old at this point as a company, and we had a major pivot in this direction about 5 years ago ourselves. But in the early days, we literally had customers who were using platforms like Pinterest to drive their entire business. And it
Mm.
was like 100% free organic traffic. And you would see some websites getting millions of visitors per month for free, right?
Mm.
Those dynamics have changed over time. They've changed. Most of the major networks have become more focused on trying to keep users within their system and within their app as opposed to sending them out. And so the user experiences have changed, and the result is there's just less organic traffic. Um, yeah.
Yeah. Well, I was going to say another thought. I think the power in your system or systems like this is that you can take a guy like Tom, for example, and he can go, all right, I'm going to start consistently spending some money, reasonable money, not that's going to blow up my P&L or whatever, start spending
Right.
some money on ads. And I think what happens as a solopreneur is I start spending money on ads and I start getting this data, but I don't have the bandwidth to do anything with the data. So it's like I throw spaghetti at the wall, it falls off, and I'm like, let me try that again. Right. And it's where it's like, oh no, try a different brand of spaghetti. Maybe try a different sauce, give it a few more minutes. Right. And your system, tailwindapp.com or Tailwind, is is able to take that data and do something with it, right? So now it's like, oh, I'm not throwing good money after bad. Your system or these systems like this are able to do something with that data. Am I saying that right? Yeah.
Yeah, the systems are able to leverage the data, but I think the other key thing is maintaining consistent activity, right?
Mm.
Because what we would see in the past, and really what led us in this direction of AI, is we would see a few things happening, especially with small businesses. So one is small businesses maybe would get the hang of a single channel, and that would take all their time and effort. And it was like, they were building their entire business on Instagram or on Pinterest or on Google. And then if the rules of that channel change, well, they've suddenly now just incurred a lot of risk in their business that they can't easily overcome, right? So that was one fundamental problem, was how do we get people from single channel marketing to omni-channel marketing? And the only way to do that was going to be to make things much faster, much more efficient for them. And then sort of the problem that paired with that was inconsistency,
Mm.
where either because people were busy or because in a lot of cases they were afraid to do the wrong thing, right? They didn't want to look foolish or make their brand look bad by putting bad marketing out there. You would see these patterns where someone tries something, they post consistently for 2 or 3 weeks, and then they fall off for a month and then they come back, right? So there's no continuous learning curve there. And you're generating this data, but then you're just kind of letting it sit there and decay and become less relevant and less valuable. So consistency becomes really important to build momentum over time. And again, the way to get consistency with this audience was we had to make things far faster and far more automated for them, because otherwise there just aren't enough hours in the day. And so that was really when, this is going back to like 2018, 2019, when we started taking a serious look at the emerging field of generative AI and where AI technologies, even beyond generative AI, were heading. We kind of began developing this hypothesis of, okay, we're going to have to move our software in that direction, because maybe the technology wasn't there 5 years ago, but we thought it would be in 2 or 3 years, right? And we wanted to be in the right place at the right time. So it was kind of a journey for us as well. But now that we're here and we're living in the world of AI being a reality, we can now finally begin proving to folks like, yes, this can make your marketing far more consistent, often higher quality than what small businesses are able to generate on their own. It removes a lot of the doubt and the psychological pressure. And just by being more consistent, they're building a richer, larger, more accurate data pipeline, which ultimately leads to more relevant people seeing their content and more relevant customers walking through the digital front door, so to speak.
Mm, I love that. That's amazing. When you look at Tom and his sonteyewear.com, does your brain automatically go, oh my God, this is what my product would do for him?
Yeah, yeah, honestly, it does.
Well, talk to me about it. Now's your chance. Rip on it for a second. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I look at it and I say, well, for one, this is a brand I had never heard of before, right? Me as a consumer, I'd never heard of it. And my instant reaction to seeing the product is like, wow, these are beautiful, these are unique, right? That's the type of product that can do really well with advertising, because advertising these days is so visual in nature, where you've got to be able to capture someone's attention pretty quickly to have very high performing ads, right? And if you're selling the same product through drop shipping that's been sold 1,000 times before, and it's a low ticket item that isn't particularly exciting or new, it's going to be a lot harder to run ads profitably. But it's these types of brands that have truly unique products and styles and voices to them, or who can develop unique voices if they don't have that voice quite yet, that really have the potential to take off a lot faster than others.
Mm, mm. Tom jumps into your Tailwind, takes
Mhm.
advantage of your Tailwind software. Like, walk me through the next 3 months or
What,
six
what
months of,
happens?
yeah.
Yeah, so I think in an ideal case, what happens is he goes through that sign up process. Again, as soon as he gives us sonteyewear.com as the URL, we're immediately going, we're reading his site, we're looking at all of his products. I can immediately tell, he's built on Shopify. We have the ability to go in and pull additional information from Shopify as well about the business. And so we immediately, just in the early seconds, build that brand profile, right? A lot of that is behind the scenes up front, but what he sees again is he gets to the dashboard and we've already started preparing Instagram posts and stories and pins and so forth for him that he can begin publishing, right? So one of the key early steps for him is going to be now build a rhythm of publishing content on a regular basis, right? Um, to help that, another thing we do with all that information we have on the business is we've built a marketing plan for him. So we have a part of the Tailwind called Tailwind Copilot that uses that information to build a marketing plan that is evergreen in nature. So it can run on, it includes things like recommended seasonal promotions and stuff like that as well. But that will actually begin giving specific daily tasks and ideas for types of content he should be producing. And so he
Mm,
can click on his calendar and Tailwind and say, oh, I want to learn more about this post that you're recommending. And it pops up a sidebar with examples of that type of post and explanation as to why we're recommending it. and he can go straight into creating the post right then and there if he wants to create something himself, right? But the key thing for us in creating that calendar is to get people thinking about marketing as something I need to be doing on a regular basis. And oh, now that I'm using Tailwind, it actually is something I can do in a 10 or 15-minute session. It doesn't have to take hours, so I can do it on a regular basis, right? So
Mm.
that's step one for him. I'd say it's just get in the habit of beginning to publish content regularly. And then if and when he's ready, because not all small businesses are ready for paid ads. But if and when he's ready, then I'd say he goes over to the ads portion of the tool and sets that up. And at that point, I don't know if you ever used like TurboTax before for taxes. Now,
Mhm.
you know how they ask you really plain language questions instead of making you learn the tax code, right? So, did you move this year? Did you get a new job? Things like that. Um, when he goes and he starts setting up his ad campaigns, we begin exposing that profile of his business that we built. And so we'll put in front of him things like, this is what we think your unique selling proposition is. This is what we think makes your products unique. And he can add to that, he can edit it, or he can just say, yeah, this looks right and advance through. We say, this is who we think your audience is. And these are the types of interests that we should be targeting as a result of that, and so forth. Things that we've discovered through the data pipelines. Um, and he can say, yes, I agree, or add to it. I have more ideas. I want to change something. I want to remove something. But again, it's a 2-minute process to set up the advertising. And then by the time he's gotten to the end of it, we say, okay, great. Now we've prepared an initial slate of ads for you. So come review them, edit them, choose which ones you like, get rid of the ones you don't like, and the ads can start running, in real time as soon as he chooses ones that he wants to set live.
I love that.
Um,
Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
but I think that's the learning curve that we see people go through. Is step one is just wow, cool, I can get content created for me. This is faster. Oh, this enables me to publish on a regular basis. Okay, now that I've got some momentum there, I want to start investing in paid, and it can make that work for me. And then as they're getting deeper into the paid product, that's where the AI driven budget optimization comes into play, where now it turns into, oh, I'm actually getting good results. Right. And so I think that's the multi-month learning curve that we would ideally see users going through. And of course, people branch off and take their own paths, but that's the core of it.
It's amazing. I love the vision. I think it's beautiful. And understanding that there's going to be people who go through it faster, slower, like you said, pivot sideways, try this, whatever.
Yep.
I am also sounds to me like it's something that we could sick a VA on as well. So you're like, hey, VA, manage this. You've just taken a VA and turned them into your like marketing, like legit marketing arm. And then if someone like Tom had a little bit of oversight over that. So it's like,
Yeah.
um, you could really, really speed up your process.
And
So
we have a
you,
lot of VAs and folks like independent marketing consultants who will use the system across multiple clients as well, right? And so if you think about what that does for their business, if they can now provide the same or even greater levels of service to clients in a fraction of the time, they can now take on more clients, and that ultimately increases their earnings. I think it's a little tougher if someone's charging on an hourly basis, because then they have to figure out if they evolve their pricing model somehow. But we've seen people really scale out their VA and marketing consultancy businesses that way.
I love it. Boy, that's amazing. That didn't even cross my mind. I'm usually pretty smart and on the ball, but that's amazing. So you mentioned two things. So we've got Tailwind Pro. I don't mean to talk pricing, but I'm going to. But it's 14.99, which sounds like it gives you access to step one of what you were talking about with Tom. But then you also mentioned Copilot. Is that included in the 14.99, or is that like
Yeah,
a? It
yeah,
is.
yeah, that's included in this. So the base plans that we offer, like Pro and Advanced and Max that you're looking at, that includes the marketing plan generation through Copilot. It includes content creation with Ghostwriter, as well as our Tailwind Create tool, which is the visual content creation. That will do things like resize visuals across multiple channels for you simultaneously and keep consistent design formatting so that if someone looks at your different social channels, they're going to see things that look similar.
Yeah.
So it includes that. It includes scheduling and publishing. Um, and it includes things like our Smart Bio tool, which is our, if you need a bio link for Instagram or TikTok, you can generate that simple one-page website. All of that's included, as well as our email tool as well, which I haven't touched on, but all of that's in one plan. The only thing not included in that price point is the ads management. And so the ads management, when people add that on to any plan, we just charge as a percentage of the ad budget that we're managing for them. And so that's 10% to keep it simple, easy math, right? If I'm spending $500 a month, that's going to cost me $50 a month. But with that, they're getting the creation of the ads, they're getting generating the actual placements, the optimization of the budget, and the ROI. And so often people are comparing that to maybe working with an agency who might start at $1,500, right? And
Mm.
so we're able to deliver these services at much more affordable, approachable prices because we're doing it through software and AI. Whereas, when you're doing it through human effort, it just is going to be more expensive because it has to be.
Of course. Before we started, I was like, what's the hard cap on time here? And we discussed the top of the hour, right? Because when I looked at your website and such, I was like, oh, this is going to be good, and we're going to run out of time. And I'm already feeling that cap. I'm like watching the minutes click away, and I'm going, oh my gosh, right? So, super excited to have you here, and this is a ton of fun. And again, everybody, tailwindapp.com, and you can see what you're doing with Tailwind. And so you've got this email tool as well. Why don't you just in 3 minutes or less break that down for us?
Yeah, I mean, email right now for us is a pretty simple email editor type of tool. So there's a few things that it does right now that really do help save people time. It has what you would expect from email tools in terms of pre-designed templates and things of that nature. But another thing that we did that's a step further is based on branding settings that you can set in Tailwind, like here are my brand colors, here are my logo files, etc. We will actually create a series of campaigns and templates for you that are pre-designed to your brand.
Mhm.
So that's something that people really like because just even if you're using the preset templates in other email systems, just adapting them to fit your brand colors and style and so forth can be hours of effort. And so that's the first step we took with email of, okay, let's make the visual design of the email fit your brand and do that quickly. But looking towards the future, I think a lot of the things we've done now with the automation of content for social and for ads, down the road, we want to bring that into our email tool as well, right? So not only do we give you these on-brand templates, but what if when your Tailwind marketing plan says you should be sending a weekly newsletter or product promotion or whatever it might be to your audience, what if we actually pre-drafted that for you? And we said,
Mhm.
okay, here's a product that we saw you recently launched, or here's a product that you have a good amount in inventory, or it's a high selling product, or whatever it might be. So we're going to recommend featuring that product this week. And we've already gone ahead and written the blurbs and suggested subject lines and so forth.
Mhm.
So our email, we're not quite there yet, but the same technology that's powering the rest of Tailwind can be adapted to do that. What we do that's the half step at the moment is through our Ghostwriter product, which, if you're familiar with other generative copywriting tools out there, some people use ChatGPT for this, some people use tools like Jasper for this. We have a number of email use cases in there where you can say, okay, I need email subject line ideas for this specific
Mhm.
email, or I need email body copy written for me, and there's different formats and styles of emails that you can choose from, and then you just provide a few quick inputs, and it'll generate the copy for you. So we've got it to that point already, and I think the future step is now how do we stitch this together and make it more proactive, similar to what we've done with organic, social, and paid ads.
Yeah. Yes, 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 yes. Two questions. Got a bunch of questions, but let's tackle two, and I'll let you go in any way you want. So
Okay.
the two questions that I have here are, so such an important thing about all marketing and all the stuff we do and branding and everything is for not unless we're getting an ROI and somebody's actually clicking buy, right? And so are you helping? This is question one. Are you helping with landing pages, things like that? Like, that's great. It looks good, but no one's gonna buy. Like, do you help on the buy? Does that question make sense?
Yeah,
Let's
yeah,
just go with that. Yeah, let's talk to that for a minute.
yeah, that question makes sense. Today, we don't touch landing pages.
Mm,
Uh, we have we've explored some things there about helping people generate landing pages for specific purposes. So you could imagine that pairing with our ad solution, where if
mm,
we could help you generate a landing page that would better fit specific ad copy or a specific type of ad,
yeah.
that might result in significant conversion uplift. And so there's ideas like that that I think are on our radar. We don't do that today, but I like to say when you buy a piece of software, especially a SaaS solution, you're not just buying the product that exists, you're buying the roadmap as well, right? Because ideally, you're going to adopt a tool and you're going to stick with it and build your systems around it for years to come.
Yep.
Uh, People go through a lot of pain when they have to switch out of software solutions and re-architect their entire process. So I will say, that type of stuff is on our radar. We don't do it right now.
Yeah, cool. I was like, if you do that too, that would be ridiculous. But I imagine when, yeah, like, so then it's all optimized together, and the system is like, Tailwind is saying, hey, here's here's your branding marketing plan. Here's the optimized landing page that goes with it. So it encourages people to
Yeah.
buy when they see it, right? They're
And I
like, oh
think
my
mobile
gosh.
optimization in particular is something to look out for there. Because a lot of people think about building their website for a desktop first, and then the mobile experience can be really clunky. But a lot of ads are actually viewed on mobile devices. And so when people click through, if you don't have a strong mobile converting performance element of your website, um, that's going to potentially really hurt your ability to scale.
Yeah, I love that. What a great tip. And it's so interesting because most of us are buying and doing all this stuff on our phones, except for when we go to work on it and build it for other people. We're on our lap or whatever, laptops or desktops. So we're starting there. And it's like, no, you need to mobile optimize out of the gate.
Yeah.
Um, cool. So, well, thank you for answering that question. So my next question is, let's talk three main product product types: e-com,
Mhm.
uh, info product, service product.
Mhm.
Uh, uh, Tailwind is good for all of those, or e-com's best, or go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, we see across that mix. So our number one segment is e-com, although we break that out into physical e-commerce and digital e-commerce, meaning you're selling a physical product or you're selling a digital product, which a lot of information businesses would fit into the digital product category.
Yep.
That's number one for us. Number two is service providers, and then number three after that is actually creators. So we see a lot of creators use the system as well in order to aid in their content creation, their planning, and so forth. And then fourth is local brick and mortar. So we see a pretty wide variety of businesses, and I think just by virtue of the size of the audience, there's a really long tail there of businesses I never even knew existed. One example I like to think of is I came across one of our customers who sells food truck insurance, right? It's like I never thought about food truck insurance being its own industry and its own niche, but yeah, obviously there would be a need for that. Um, So there's a long tail of all different types of businesses, but those are the four main categories we tend to think about.
Love it. Um, so this AI is, you said the word earlier, it's like this, I don't even know if I can say it, the democratization
Yep.
of all this stuff. So what's the biggest downfall you see of this democrat, you said it.
Democratization of yeah.
Yeah.
Honestly, I think one of the biggest things we've just seen in every wave of technological development is there inevitably are people who choose to misuse it and misapply
Mhm.
it, right? And so the vast majority of people who come in touch with any technology are going to think about how to use it for good, how to use it to better mankind and better the human condition. But there are always bad actors. And so that's what I worry about the most. We already see a lot of stuff emerging like deep fakes and some of it that's politically motivated and some of it that's more, I mean, even in marketing we've already started to see examples of lawsuits pop up of people's whose likenesses were used to create ads as if they
Mhm.
endorsed a product they didn't endorse. There was a TV interview I saw the other day of a guy who was targeted by people, committing fraud, who basically were faking that they had taken his son hostage with a voice recording that sounded like his son,
Oh
and
my.
sort of by luck, he realized it was fake. But you're starting to see some of these bad things happening.
Yeah.
Uh, and that's what I worry about most. It's just, as a society, how are we going to put guardrails around how this technology is applied? How are we going to educate people fast enough so that
Yeah.
they don't fall prey to these types of, next gen scams?
Yeah.
Uh,
Sorry.
becomes especially important when you think about folks who are, elderly, uh, who, I gave a talk not too long ago to a group here in Oklahoma City, where, most of the members are probably in their 70s, 80s, and they just wanted to learn about AI, which I thought was amazing. I love that. But there were a lot of questions around how do I protect myself from this? How do I make sure I'm not getting scammed or tricked because of it? That's a real concern.
Yeah. And I was even thinking, I mean, that's big picture stuff, which I appreciate. And it's almost like the bully in the playground ruins recess for everybody, and we all have to go
Yep.
inside, right? And it's like some bully out there is gonna, you know, shut down,
Yep.
the opportunity of AI for all of us. But save that conversation for another day. I'm thinking more along the lines of small marketers, AI is democratizing the process and giving a huge amount of us access to tools,
Yep.
resources, power, call it what you will, capabilities that we've never had. And so now we can actually get our ideas to market. We can get our social content strategies rolling efficiently. We can, for myself personally, it was like, oh my gosh, all these emails that I've been wanting to write now, AI helps me
Yep.
craft my ideas. But so, which is amazing. But at the same time, now you've got a whole bunch more of us coming to market with products, ideas, all these things. How does a guy like me or a small business stay ahead in that democratization? That's more of what my question. Does that
Yeah.
make sense?
Yeah, that absolutely makes sense. I think there's a few components that come to mind there. One is just participating in it, right? Experimenting, getting your hands dirty, playing with the tools. There's a truth with technological change that the early adopters tend to win because they are early adopters and because they get up that learning curve faster than others. We're still very much in the early adopter phase of AI. We're not nowhere near what I would consider mass market adoption. So I think that's number one. The second thing is while you're doing that, take advantage of the promise of AI and of this higher degree of automation, which is, it's great that it's saving you this time and it's enabling you to be more consistent with marketing. It often enables people to up level their marketing very quickly. But that time that you save needs to be time that you strategically reinvest in your business. And by that, I mean on the marketing front, really thinking through how do I want to be positioned? What do I want my voice to be? How do I want to connect with my consumers and build relationships with them? And that's where AI can empower us. If we can spend more of our time in that strategic zone, let's not miss out on that opportunity and then leverage the tools to do more of the execution for us. So I think that's important. And then the third piece that goes along with that, I'd say, is strategy about the business itself. So use that extra time and that greater ability to make sure your core business strategy and business model works, right? Because that's one thing that I see quite often is people think that these tools are going to fix a broken business model, right? At the end of the day, if your product is not very good or your service is not what people want, they're still not going to buy it, no matter how much more efficient you are with your marketing. If you're leaving 90% of your profit on the table by pricing your product too low because you're stuck thinking like a consumer and you're thinking, I want to make this as cheap as possible for people, as opposed to thinking as a business owner and thinking about what the right price point is, these tools are not going to solve that problem for you. And worse, you might determine that things like advertising are not feasible for you because of your price point. Whereas if you had the right price point and your profit margins were better on each customer served, all of a sudden you've got an economic engine that can drive growth, right? And so those are the three things I think. Participate, do the marketing strategy piece, and make sure your business model is sound. If you focus on those three things with the time saved, you're going to be on a path to a better, stronger business.
I love that. That was an amazing answer, Danny. So good. Clock is ticking. I'm gonna have to have you on the show again because I literally have a list of questions that I'm like, oh, and just like your
Sounds
origin
good.
story, like how you got into the business and all that. I mean, you have such a rich history, and then now you have this thriving company, obviously at 1 million users, and then it'd be super fun to talk to about how you got there. Yeah, I mean, you told me you're in Oklahoma City and you're an East Coast, West Coast man. So, there was great things you said about Oklahoma City. And so there's so much more to get to, but I want to end with I've been looking at this amazing couch in the background for this full hour, and I'm going, oh my gosh, is this mid-century modern? Is this new? Is it a reproduction? What is going on with that couch right there?
That I believe this was found. I think my wife found it in like an antique shop. So I don't know the exact origin of it, but I think it's probably safe to say it's older than me. Uh, and I love it. It's a great color. It's incredibly comfortable. Yeah.
It looks to be in amazing shape as well.
Yes,
Yes.
pretty well cared for. It became in the post-COVID world when we went mostly remote and mostly working from home, as I am today. It became the spot where our daughter would come and hang out while I was doing my work. And so she could be here with me. And, now she's back in school and not using it quite as much. But
Oh,
at one point, it was very heavily used.
amazing. And is it as comfortable as it looks?
It's super comfortable. You could fall asleep on it pretty easily.
Cool. So let's end with this. So um the biggest takeaways that someone should take from this hour that we've had together, whether and that can be that they can use whether they buy your product or not.
Yeah. Yeah, for me, the biggest one is with the emergence of AI, now is the time to rethink your workflows and to think about what possibilities are emerging where you can run your business more efficiently day to day so that you can be more strategic year to year. That's the biggest one I'd say. And Tailwind, hopefully will be a part of that. But there are a lot of other great tools emerging in all different corners of the world and of software that aren't even necessarily marketing specific, right? So AI is being applied many places. So have your antenna up, do that initial research, look for new things. And even if some of them aren't quite there for you today, track them, see how they develop, because maybe they will be next year or the year after that. And they can really be transformative for you. So I think that's the big thing. Rethink things, Don't hold too many things as sacred in the way it must be done because it's the way you've always done it. You will end up upskilling yourself, up leveling yourself by making that investment.
Beautiful. Danny, thank you so much for jumping on the show with me. You'll come back again, yes?
Yeah, that'll be a lot of fun.
Thank you for listening to this episode of the Table Rush Talk Show. For resources to help you sell your stuff, go to belove.media/resources. That's belove.media/resources. And be sure to subscribe, comment, 5-star, and share. Thank you again for listening.